How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Family. We are back with another preseason FPL video, and today we're continuing our Team Watch series, and this time it's going to be Brentford that we take a look at to see if there's any attacking or defensive assets for their team that could be useful to our FPL teams for the upcoming 22-23 FPL season. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe channel if you are new or haven't done so already. It greatly helps out the channel, as well as turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. Drop us a follow over on Twitter so that you can keep up to date with any and all FPL news, from transfer news to preseason tour photos potentially, and anything in between. As well as give us a follow over on Twitch so you can see when we go live for our preview and deadline streams, which will be starting back up the week of FPL. And you want to make sure you follow us over for that, because if there's any impromptu FPL streams, they will all be over on Twitch for the entire season. So without further ado, let's look at Brentford's defensive assets for the upcoming FPL season. So defensively, Brentford are quite solid, usually when Raya is in goal. He did have a significant spell out, and we saw their defensive numbers kind of tail off quite a bit. He's very important to how they play out from the back. He's also a very important shot stopper. We saw him make a fabulous save versus Nicola Pepe on the opening day, and he showed his quality from there on out. And I think he could be very good value at 4.5 million. And if we see just above me here for the season and last four stats, Brentford attacking-wise were very good as well. And that all stems from their ability to play out from the back. And Raya is very, very good with his feet and create chances when basically out of nothing. Whether he's the pass before the pass, or even just bypassing players on the opposition. He is very, very good with his feet in that way, and that's how Brentford like to play, and they have done all of last season, and I expect them to do it again this season. Will they get caught out because now the teams know what to expect? We shall see. But in terms of defensively, Janssen is someone who's always a threat on set pieces. Won't get you too many attacking returns over the season. So for 4.5 million, he's going to be the same price as the Arsenal defender. Is he going to provide that value? Unless Brentford starts scoring a whole bunch of goals from set pieces, he might be involved. But I don't really seeing that translating over a sustained period of FPL points. Rico Henry would be the only other one in defense that I would potentially consider, just because he is a somewhat attacking fullback. But to be honest, Brentford mostly play stuff through their forwards and through usually the guy in midfield that's going to be more the attacking role. So that was Eriksen last season. We'll get on to him in a bit, as he may be a big miss for them, but there could be a replacement for him. And it's mainly through facilitation from the defense and the defensive-minded midfielders, similar to kind of how Liverpool kind of leave it up to the front three, basically, and the fullbacks to create the chances, whereas Brentford typically use their attacking midfielder in their system and provide for the front two or front three to create chances for them, or they win stuff off of long throws and set pieces. So personally, I think the only defensive asset you should be looking at from Brentford, given the start, is Raya. After game week 2, from game week 3 onwards, they have very, very good fixtures, very good run. That's why a lot of managers are looking to start with Raya from the jump, because Leicester way is not difficult. Man United, if you're going off last season's form, could be fairly comfortable for Brentford, or at least Raya will make a few saves, even if he does concede in both game week 1 and 2. And could prove to be a very valuable goalkeeper, racking up a lot of BPS because of his completed passes from the back as well. So that's going to do it for Brentford's defensive assets, but the ones that I'm potentially more interested in is their cheap attacking assets. Now, we mentioned on the previous section from the stats above me, Brentford's attacking stats were very, very good. 67 big chances created, 317 shots inside the box. They were very, very good attacking-wise. They just probably needed to be a bit more clinical at certain points in games, and they could have been very, very good in terms of attacking prowess, especially with the attacking assets that they do have for specific prices in midfield and in attack. So one key thing is that Brian Mbomo, who's not on this slide, is now a 6 million forward. So you get a little bit less value out of him than you did last season. He's 0.5 million more, and he's now a forward, so he gets less points for scoring a goal, but he gets more BPS. So we'll have to see in turn how that makes him potentially a better FPL asset, and whether he will continue to play in the front two. Because when he did play in the front two, he was very good. And typically that meant the attacking midfielder was also in a very good position to get FPL points. So when Eriksen was playing there last season, he was providing for the front two, getting chances created all over the pitch, and was allowing for the likes of Tony or Vissa or Mboma, whoever played in that front two, to do well. It took away from Tony's FPL points because he plays much better from an FPL perspective when he plays in the 4-3-3. Brentford have played in both systems, the 3-5-2 and the 4-3-3 over last season. Wissa is someone who plays very well in the 4-3-3 system, so Tony and Wissa would be if they're going to continue with that. Whereas De Silva, who was injured for basically the majority of last season after being suspended a couple times as well, he is going to be the direct replacement, almost certainly, for Eriksen. If you talk to a lot of Brentford fans, they really, really like him. He also scored in preseason, in their first preseason game, whether it was the first or second, I'm not too sure, but he did score in it. And he's going to play the number 10 role. And the real kicker is, he's 4.5 million. So much like Andreas Pereira, he could be playing in a lesser side. We'll talk about Andreas Pereira when we get to the Fulham and Man United sections. But another 4.5 midfielder playing in like that attacking midfield role that could be playing 60 plus minutes at least every game. So we'll have to wait and see how that injury affects him. He looked, decent when he came back from that injury and the suspensions and all the stuff that he had. His last season was pretty plagued. That's why they went out and bought Eriksen. And now that it looks like Eriksen may be moving on. We'll talk about who in just a minute in the transfer section. But he could be gold at FPL with that 4.5 million price tag. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. If you're starting with two midfielders, he would be my second choice over Andreas Pereira. But for Ivan Toney, me personally, I think he might be slightly too expensive at 7 million to start off with. Maybe you start with Gabriel Jesus, see how Arsenal gets on, and then you can always go down to Toney. Or if you start with a Callum Wilson, Callum Wilson has two fantastic fixtures off the start. Toney not so much. And then Callum Wilson then plays, I think, Man City and Liverpool in 2 out of the next 3 game weeks. You then could just swap to Toney because you could just downgrade him whenever you need to. So that's something potentially to keep in mind as well. But attacking-wise, I'm really liking Brentford's FPL assets. Maybe Toney slightly too expensive. If you don't start with him, he might even go down in price too, which would be great because those who do start with him, because it seems like there could be a lot of managers starting with like a 7.5, 8 million striker alongside the likes of Kane or Haaland as their premium. Toney might be good value from game week 3 onwards. So one to keep an eye on. One to keep an eye on what systems Brentford play in preseason as well. I didn't check what they played in their preseason game where De Silva scored, but hopefully they could be all great FPL assets. And if the second season syndrome doesn't kick in and Brentford just cement themselves as a really good, solid mid-table team, they could be a value for our FPL teams this season. Now that we've checked out what they currently have, let's see what they could potentially have with their summer transfer business. So Brentford are usually quite astute in the transfer market. Some of the key ins that I've been seeing doing the rounds, they've signed Hickey from Bologna, the Italian club, I can't pronounce the name, for a reported around £18.6 million, which is an approximation of the transfer fee. As we see on the graphic there, he is going to come in as potentially a permanent left back or maybe as a rotational left back. We shall see how he's going to be deployed. Branthwaite, who is currently at Barcelona, doesn't look like he's probably going to get a look in, especially if they sign Lewandowski. Could be surplus to requirements and could be a potential backup. Maybe not an FPL asset for us, but just one to keep an eye on. It could detract minutes from the likes of Ivan Toney, who is maybe more prone to substitution now more than ever because of the 5 sub rule. Lewis Potter, who is being rumored from Hull, he could potentially be someone as, I think Brentford are looking for like an attacking, like left or right sided player to potentially play in a front 3. So maybe that's what they're looking to do. We'll wait and see. The fee is going to be somewhat on the lower end, around just over £10 million. We'll have to see kind of how he, maybe fits in if he were to make his way to Brentford. But one of the key outs here is Zanka from defense, who played a few games as well. He's out of contract. Vere, I think is how you pronounce his name, is also out of contract. But the main one is Eriksen, who came in and in the January transfer window revolutionized basically how Brentford was able to play, and if De Silva can mimic what he did, then they should be in good stead. And it looks like Eriksen's probably going to go on a free to Manchester United. I believe he's going to be doing his medical tomorrow at the time of recording this on the Sunday. He could be around Carrington and getting his medical in around the Monday, Tuesday-ish, and then maybe announced later on in the week. So we'll have to wait and see. Again, really quiet on the transfer front for Brentford, but they always come up with these astute signings that you don't really know about, the Moneyball style of system. I would just think that maybe they have to have a flexible attacker is probably what they're looking for. I think the left back is a good option. Maybe 2 attacking left backs if Hickey can reproduce what potentially what they're looking for out of Henry on the right hand side. Maybe a backup center back might be something they look into potentially. So we'll have to wait and see, because Ayer's injured and has an unknown return date. As you can see on FPL's website, he's flagged at the moment. Zanka leaving, that just kind of leaves only a couple center backs. And if they're playing a back 3, maybe they're switching to a back 2. Then they won't require 5, potentially 6 center backs on the books in the first team. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. I think Brentford, for the most part, I'm pretty happy with the way that they priced all of their players, and what they have currently is probably more to what we're going to be looking for in FPL. If there's a game breaker that comes in, or maybe Eriksen does re-sign for Brentford in a crazy turnaround, Man United's already hijacked the deal this summer. Maybe Brentford can do it back. We'll have to wait and see. But let me just think down in the comments below. Can De Silva be as good as Eriksen? Is Tony actually worth it at his price? Let me just think down in the comments below. And that's going to do it for Brentford's Team Watch. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Scout members area, the one place that you need to be tuned into for the upcoming FPL season. It has a wide variety of resources and tools that will help improve your FPL game today. It has a bunch of different members-only articles written by some of the best FPL managers across the globe, heat maps for all the players and positions, as well as player comparison tools, which will help you see side by side who is going to be more effective for your FPL team, fully customizable stats tables powered by Opta stats, and much, much more. Use the link down in the description below so that you can get access to the Fantasy Football Scout members area today. It'll help improve your FPL game. This video has been sponsored by Manscape, the best in male below the waist grooming. Make sure to check out manscape.com so you can see the latest and greatest updates to their lawnmower, as well as their performance package, and much, much more for all their gadgets and gizmos to help keep your family jewels looking as shiny as ever. Make sure to use the code FLAME20 so that you can get 20% off your next Manscaped order, as well as free worldwide shipping. Go check out manscape.com today. And that is going to do it for our Team Watch video for Brentford. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe channel if you're new or haven't done so already. Greatly helps out the channel. Make sure you give us a follow over on Twitter and Twitch so you can see when we go live for our preview and deadline streams and all of our FPL streams for the season, so you can keep up to date with any and all FPL news. And lastly, make sure to check out Fantasy Football Scout. Link is down in the description below. All the stats that you saw in today's video were provided by their members area, and it's fantastic. It will help improve your FPL game. Thank you all for watching, and until the next one, take care.